Hello and welcome to this edition of Business Now here on Zodiak. My name is Alex Banda. I'm glad you are there. We are here today at Mount Sochi Hotel in the city of Banda, where Banda City Council is holding its first ever city summit. And of course, it's the first ever in Malawi. We are going to look on some of the opportunities that this summit has for investment, and of course, what kind of environment is Banda City Council planning to provide in as far as investment and business operations is concerned. We are taking a special focus on Banda City Summit, and we talk to players on how best Banda City Council can leverage on this City Summit on investment and of course create a conducive environment for players in the sector. They are focusing on waste management, street vending, and of course security. We asked Mayor Ward Ndipo how these three thematic areas are going to help Banda City Council reclaim its glory as a commercial hub in Malawi.
But we've seen that over time, there's no safety in Banda. There's no cleanliness to the standard in Banda. Though people, when they come, they say we are clean, but we haven't come to the situation. So we're saying, okay, what should we do now? And what should we do should not be from us only as people who work at the city, but let's bring the residents, all stakeholders, business captains, and whoever are there, so that we come together and brainstorm and see how best we can make this city livable. I think that's the main reason why we have had this summit. And like we said, it will be happening every 6 months. As a matter of now, saying, are we going towards what we had actually tackled? That's why we see that it's been handled in a breakaway, I think 3 of them, so that we consolidate at the end of it and make sure that we come up with one solution and one thing that can make us bring this city back to its life. You've noted that we have the security guys here, we have business captains here. When you talk of security lapsing, then they're here. If you talk of the business captains, they can actually take responsibility socially or whatsoever. And even those people who cannot contribute, but they are residents, they can bring in ideas and say, okay, this is the way we can move our city.
We've heard from Ward Ndipo, who is the mayor for Banda City, but what kind of engagement, what kind of attention is government giving to these kinds of city summits? We understand Banda is the first, the second in Lilongwe and Mzuzu, as well as Zomba. But what is the interest of government to ensure that these strategies stakeholders are discussing here materialize?
Today it's about the residents agreeing within the 3 thematic areas, agreeing what must be done. Tangible implementation plan, and from there we review and get reports from the city itself. For instance, waste management. What is it that we can do within the next 6 months to improve waste management? What is it that we can do within the next 6 months to improve security in the city? So that's why we have the police, we have got every stakeholder involved. What must be done to improve street vending? It's not a matter of chasing vendors, a matter of making sure everybody understands that it cannot be as it is today. How best can we make sure that our vendors understand? How best can we accommodate our vendors and take care of our vendors? How best can we make our city clean and make sure that we are providing the much needed services? This doesn't stop any other services like infrastructure development and the health services being provided by the city, but these 3 key thematic focus areas to help us monitor and also implement in time. It's more or less like we have 20, 30 aspirations for the city. But when you talk about service delivery, it's the issues that are expected from a government, expected from a council. The 3 thematic areas, it's not only what we promise, but even to look at us as duty bearers, what are challenges within the city councils? Is it human capacity? Is it resources? How much can we put for these resources to make sure, for this work, to make sure that services are provided? Who support the city itself? The staffing capacity, the working capabilities, the technical know-how, to make sure that services are provided. We want to bring back the glory of Banda City and surpass the levels that were there.
From the Public-Private Partnership PPPC Commission, its Chief Executive Officer, Patrick Abambe, feels that the Banda City Summit is an arable round for blossoming ideas and, of course, investment, not only for Banda, but for all other cities in Malawi.
If the Banda city is going to be a city which is going to be the major commercial city of Blantyre, a city whereby all of the citizens are going to be satisfied and happy with the services. It's important that all stakeholders come in and contribute to the development of the vision of the kind of city that we want to be. For us at the PPC, our role is to work with public agencies and private sector to come up with projects which can be financed from a private sector. As we all know, we cannot expect that Blantyre City can raise all the resources either from the national budget or from the city rates to do all the infrastructure development that is needed in the city. So it's important that we look at the private sector to be a partner in the development of the city. As we know, Blantyre is the center of all the corporate world. So there's an opportunity to take advantage of the corporate presence in the city to do developments that will change the face of the city. I think there are a few things that need to be done. One, awareness of the opportunities. Some cases may be that the corporates don't realize the opportunity to do business. We're not just talking about corporate social responsibility, whereby you're giving in support, but we're looking at business opportunities for the corporates. So maybe they're not aware of those opportunities. But secondly, also for the city to come up with what are the issues that are important for the city. What kind of infrastructure are they looking at? And then for us, where we come in is to come up with a win-win situation, whereby the investments will be worthwhile to the private investor, but also worthwhile to the city council and the citizens. And more importantly, they should be affordable to the city and the citizens.
Away from the Blantyre City Summit, we take a look at Conglomerate Press Corporation, which in the week ending has announced the appointment of former Secretary to Treasury Ronald Mangani as its Chief Executive Officer. This was contained in a statement which said that Mangani is going to take up the position as Chief Executive Officer beginning 1st March 2023. And of course, his appointment has been welcomed by several stakeholders, and including economists Beaton and Thompson Kumwenda, who says this shows that the corporation is having a positive radical approach to business.
Dr. Ronald Mangani, who succeeds Lighton Chitambo, takes up the position as chief executive for the conglomerate with vast public and private sector experience. The former secretary to Treasury told Zodiak his focus is to grow and preserve the country's wealth.
I know that the expectations are very high, and I want to do the best that I can to preserve and to grow this sovereign wealth, because I think that's the expectation that people have. I know that the company is doing well in certain areas, but it can also do much better in other areas. And we want to re-entrench the role of press corporation.
An economic expert, Thompson Kumwenda, says this is a business unusual appointment which will see the corporation actively contributing to the economic development in Malawi as a catalyst and an enabler of the economic growth in the key sectors of the economy as per the Malawi 2063 strategy. On his part, Mubasi-based economic expert Dr. Beaton commends Press Corporation for the positive radical appointment.
For me, I see that maybe the corporate world also is embracing some radical thinking, some radical ways of doing things. And there's also a need to bring in somebody who has a deeper understanding and experience with the public sector, and also more importantly for Press Corporation Limited, I think it's also about somebody who understands corporate governance better.
Dr. Mangani, who also serves as chairman of Old Mutual Malawi Limited, previously served as director for the Reserve Bank of Malawi, the Malawi Stock Exchange, and the Malawi Development Corporation MDC.
Despite the liquidity challenges facing most SACCOs in the country, Moody SACCO has posted a 63% surplus in the year ending 2022. This, according to its board chairperson, Matilda Ntambo, is a move from 113 billion kwacha to 185 billion kwacha. We spoke to Matilda, who says that they also, of course, resorted to borrowing from commercial banks and, of course, their mother body, Musco.
Liquidity was one of the challenges, because as I've already mentioned that we are going through financial crisis. But as a SACCO, through the board and also management and staff, we found ways and means of how to get out of this. For example, our base border, which is Musco, we have a stake of getting some loan, and also we also engage other partners such as the National Bank. So through that, and also the commitment and other ways that Moody SACCO has, we have really made it to this far. By the end of the day, we want to grow our loan book to 19 billion. So that's not a mere plan. So it's like every year we have put in place strategies, and goodness, before this AGM, we had to meet our coordinators, what we call pre-AGMs, and we had a number of proposals of how we are going to move forward. And one of them, we have requested our members, who are the shareholders, to allow Moody SACCO to use 40% of their dividend into their non-redeemable shares. So that is one way that is going to cushion the issue of liquidity in Moody SACCO.
Musco Chief Executive Officer Fumbani Nyangulu says this is the trajectory that most SACCOs in the country want to take, heading of course Moody SACCO for posting such a surplus, a 63% surplus. He tells us in the strategic plans that most SACCOs have, they want to double down on their membership to about 500,000 in the short term, and of course 1 million by 2030.
Most SACCOs are still operating well. I think basically it is owed to good participation by the members. Members, when they borrow, they keep repaying their loans promptly, and that is helping the success of the SACCOs. We still have challenges, of course, sometimes with the community-based SACCOs, where farmers and maybe business people, SMEs in the rural areas, they're also facing those hurdles. Such SACCOs, we're still having challenges, but we're still working with them to see how they can also be growing. You see, what has happened is it's not only Moody. All the SACCOs have really put up quite a big, ambitious plan. And for example, as a sector, they want to manage, to get to 500,000 members as a sector by year 2025. And they also want to get to almost 1 million members by 2030. You and me know that I think previously the challenge has been people asking what is a SACCO? And people always not knowing everything that we do. So there will be that kind of drive to make sure that we recruit more and more people, not only in Moody, but all the SACCOs. Now, what will be the role of Musco? We'll be working with these SACCOs, capacitate them, try to expose them to see how they can do or how they can run on this journey.
Moving on with the program, after posting a 6.6 billion kwacha profit in the year ending, Ilovo Sugar Malawi today met its shareholders where they agreed to have a 21 kwacha per share as dividend payment for the year ending 31 August 2022. Now, the year also saw the share price on the counter increasing significantly, now trading at 600 kwacha per share. We spoke to Ilovo Sugar Malawi board chairperson, Jim Lipunga.
Very good AGM. As you could see, there was almost contagious joy looking at the results, stellar results that have been delivered. Good return on investment, good operating profits, but also good dividends to shareholders. We are operating in very turbulent times. We talk of the Russian war, but also, the uncertainties to do with the weather patterns, climate change. But that notwithstanding, we have a very, very capable management team. We refer to them as a dream team. They know the business, they know the risks, they know how to manage those risks, they know how to drive sales and optimize returns on investment. And so we remain positive and optimistic that the performance will be sustained going forward. We have to be scared like everybody else. Not because of lack of preparedness, but we fear for human life, So it would be good if we didn't have a cyclone. And therefore, if we hear news of another cyclone, we not just worried about the impact on the business, but also the impact on human life, infrastructure. With regard to Ilovo Sugar, Malawi, we've taken a lot of measures, we invested a lot of resources to insulate the infrastructure, the facilities against flooding, against damaging our cane products if that should arise. So there has been a lot of preparation and investment to forestall any impact of another cyclone coming, including the one, Friday, that has been talked about in the media.
Greg Jabesi is a crypto entrepreneur and, of course, the founder of Crypto University. He came on Business Now and explaining to us how we should embrace cryptocurrency and, of course, maybe trading in Bitcoin as one way of participating in the economy. Let's hear from Jabez.
The journey has been great. I think it just shows you how much you can do with technology. A lot of people believe still to this day that you need to have a college degree. They take all their parents' money and effort and so many years to spend in tertiary education, and we can see with proof that that's not really working. That model is dead. But if you adopt new technologies like cryptocurrency and blockchain, artificial intelligence, and you go online, you can maximize your chances of being extremely successful. What other option do we have, right? That's basically the premise. If you don't embrace it, you're going to be poor, because the economy is not in Malawi. The economy is not in South Africa. The economy is largely online. That's where the economy is. You need to plug yourself into the global economic marketplace, not just being constricted with your jurisdictional boundaries. So, cryptocurrency is the tool that helps you to break through that, in an economic sense. Because the way I got into it was that I was trying to find ways to make money. Then I'll find people online who could hire me and pay me good money. Let's say if you want to pay me $20, but you're in Australia. How are you going to pay me? You'll find that it's extremely difficult, because the apps that people use overseas aren't the same apps we use here. The people in Australia, they're not using Airtel money, right? So you need to find a means of payment. If someone is sending you $20 from the bank, through the bank in Australia to send here, it's probably going to cost them another $20. So it's just not going to happen, right? So for me, Bitcoin was a means to get paid from people all over the world without any friction, at low cost, and I didn't have to show documents and go through a process at some branch to create an account. It's something that you can do within minutes on your phone.
The private sector has asked government to tread carefully in the implementation of the amended land laws, especially the regulations that, if not well implemented, they might affect or impede the direct foreign investment in terms of land ownership in the country. We speak to Victor Jibofia, a representative from the private sector.
First thing was the issues of ceilings, which are in the regulations. Of course, they've not yet been enacted or published, but that's the reason why we're here, so that we're able to make a presentation on what we expect from the government after these laws has been enacted. Well, our expectation is that there should not be discrimination. At the same time, there should be a way open for foreign direct investment to take place, because we know that if you're going to impede the acquisition of land by people who bring in foreign direct investment in the country, then you also choke the development of the nation. So we do expect that the laws will be welcoming enough for the private sector.
After engaging the private sector captains and players, Minister of Lands Deus Banda made an assurance to the private sector that government is going to create an environment where there is possibilities for investment.
This sensitization meeting have to be targeted, or the business sector or the business captains have to be targeted, because you see they invest a lot of money when it comes to doing their investment. They cannot do investments minus land. So land is indeed a critical capital investment, where the private sector obviously has got a key interest. So we are saying, okay, what is it the private sector that does, or what is it that they want to hear when it comes to land-related laws? We are saying the land-related bills are actually targeting Malawians, but also the investors. how do they consent the investors? An investor, wherever he's coming from, is free to have land in this country as long as it goes through what we call MITC, Malawi Investment Trade Center. So much as the land related laws are actually targeting Malawians, or we're saying non-citizens cannot have land, but also even other individuals from elsewhere can also have land as long as they have a specific purpose, which is investment. So that's the more reason that we targeted the private sector, because these are investors as far as development of this country is concerned.
On that note, we've come to the end of this edition of Business Now here on Zodiac. Until next time, it's goodbye.